plans being put in place to address concerns about shortages of some food commodities. A warning: the cost of electricity could rise before it levels out as Barbados moves to transition to renewable energy. Barbadians urged to take precautions in light of a heat wave forecast for the island. And in sports, Barbados Pride forced the Leewards to follow on in the CWI 4-day championship.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC NewsNight, starting now.
Good evening, I'm Pearson Bowie. Barbados is making a major effort to increase food supply amid concerns about shortages of several commodities. This is coming from the Minister of Agriculture, Food and Nutritional Security, Inda Ware. He says he recently met with players in the dairy, poultry and pig farming industries to discuss key decisions that must be made going forward. Wendy Burt joins us now with more details about these decisions and more, which are coming ahead of the ICC Men's T20 World Cup. Wendy, good night.
Good night to you, Pearson. You are correct. Several big decisions have been taken to ensure Barbados has adequate food supplies for the World Cup and beyond. And one of the major ones is the Pine Hill Dairy being given special permission to import milk. Mr. Ware says this is necessary as supermarkets are concerned they have been seeing less milk on their shelves. He says Pine Hill informed him in what he describes as a brutally frank meeting. It is not getting enough milk from dairy farmers whose cows are not performing at their best. Therefore, the decision to source milk from an outside source had to be made as soon as possible because the heifers to be imported will not arrive on the island until later this year.
And the Pine Hill Dairy, in order for us to meet demand in June with the Cricket World Cup, they're looking at how they can produce more milk for domestic consumption. And they're working also with a partner in CARICOM to give us an additional supply as well so we can meet the demand for the tourism industry. So those plans are going ahead as we speak. We are not going to open the floodgates so that any and everybody can start importing milk. This is for a set period, and during that period, Pine Hill Dairy would be solely responsible for getting that additional supply through our CARICOM source. And then they're also working with the dairy farmers to make sure they ramp up production as well.
Now turning to pork production. In an effort to reduce the high importation of the product, which Mr. Ware says is now alarmingly out of control, measures are being taken to boost the local production of the meat, which is in high demand by Barbadians and visitors to the island. The Agriculture Minister explains he will meet with pig farmers next Monday to discuss plans to ramp up production. He's also revealed Barbadian butchers have been sent to the United Kingdom to train how to do the specialty cuts, in addition to cutting equipment being upgraded.
In this year's estimates that we took to Parliament, we've reintroduced the GILT program where people can now breed pigs just for the purposes of giving us piglets, and they're getting an incentive for doing that. And then we are also looking at how we can use AI, much more, artificial insemination that is, to help improve the genetics. Now, I've heard a conversation taking place, and I've heard this in the Senate as well, that we have lost our genetics and we've destroyed over 100 years of our gene pool. And I want to say that that is the greatest piece of rubbish I've ever heard, because the farmers themselves said that the best genetics we have right now are the ones that we have here in Barbados at this time.
The Agriculture Minister also says 2024 is expected to be a record-breaking year for poultry producers once the industry continues on the existing path. According to him, a backup plan is in place if there are shortages in the poultry sector.
We should get up to as high as 11 million baby chicks, which is the highest since 2019. I think 2019 we did 10.7 million. So this will be just above that. And that is good news for us. The feed is also performing a lot better than it was previously. So chickens are now going to slaughter like 9 days ahead of the 6 weeks period, which is good. And the weights are coming out a lot better. Some people are saying they're getting 2.5 kilos, which is really remarkable. Previously they were getting like 1.6, 1.7. So to be getting 2.5 is really good. It's a sizable bird. And the projections are, up to now, will be that we will be able to supply enough chicken going into the Cricket World Cup.
The minister also notes there's been an increase in local egg production and an additional 100,000 birds are expected to be on the island by August.
And then we are working on a joint project with one of the major poultry producers and the BADMC in order for us to allow for farmers in the feed program to get into poultry. Previously, poultry was not part of the feed program, but we're now including that as well because we recognize we don't have all the land available for people to do crop production only. So poultry is being introduced, and also pig farming is being introduced as well. So it will now be sheep farming, pig farming, and poultry.
In light of the bird flu outbreak in the United Kingdom and United States, Minister Weir is warning Barbadians about bringing in any kind of bird or poultry products because it poses a severe risk to the poultry industry.
And given our size, this entire industry could be wiped out in no time if people take the risk of bringing in any kind of birds or poultry products that are not authorized. And you know, Barbadians tend to like to hide away things in their suitcases, etc. But we are putting border control on high alert as well, so that there should be complete searches for those types of things. And if all goes well, we should be quite safe. Currently, we don't have an outbreak in this region, but we have several protocols in place, and we are working with the authorities as well.
Mr. Weir says he will continue to engage players in the poultry, dairy and pig farming industries in serious discussion regarding the industry. Pearson?
Wendy, thank you. Well, as Crop Over marks its 50th anniversary this year, a new route has been announced for Grand Kadooment. The National Cultural Foundation has announced the annual parade will start at the helipad in Bridgetown, proceed onto the Princess Alice Highway, turn onto Prescott Boulevard, continue along President Kennedy Drive, then turn left at Barbers Hill, turn left at Edge Hill Junction by the traffic lights, continue along Blackrock Main Road, turn left at Frank Worrell Roundabout and onto the Mighty Griner Highway. The parade ends on the Mighty Griner Highway and bands will enter Kensington Oval. Well, a leading meteorologist is urging Barbadians to take precautions in light of the heat wave forecast for Barbados. Deputy Director of the Barbados Meteorological Services, Brian Murray, says an adequate supply of water, home modifications, including the use of air conditioning units, are a necessity in mitigating the heat wave.
The earth is getting hotter, and indications are that the sea surface temperatures are going to be a little warmer, just like last year, and that will be the precursor for more formation of tropical storms and hurricanes. So each person will have to do their own thing, and if in doubt, they can contact the relevant authorities and get assistance in how to keep their houses cool, and at the same time, they can also check with the doctor to see how they can also mitigate with the heat.
Mr. Murray notes with the upcoming hurricane season, which is forecast to be an active one, each family should take the necessary precautions, tailoring preparations to suit, and not wait until a warning is given.
I think it is in everyone's interest to make the preparations so that if anything does happen, then you will not be caught off guard and you'll be better able to mitigate the negative effects of the hurricane season. I think you can also got to make sure that you have a generator for those who can afford it, and you keep your cell phones charged, and have other ways and means to keep in contact with your family.
A renewable energy specialist is advising Barbadians that the cost of electricity will increase before it stabilizes itself. He's Vice President of the Barbados Renewable Energy Association, Stephen Worm. He raised the issue at a 3-day symposium titled Just Transition and Job Creation in the Green and Blue Economy at the Hilton Barbados Resort. Lorna Jones reports.
While government has pledged to transition the island to natural source energy by 2030, there's a view the big issue to getting there is not technological, but rather people-based. Mr. Worm has this view on the matter.
A lot of people have been selling renewable energy as reducing costs. Renewable energy is not going to reduce costs in the short term. It will protect us from variability of costs in the long term. So anybody thinks that tomorrow we are going to get cheaper electricity, they have another thought coming. But there are also many other benefits.
He notes many say it is unachievable, but he believes by the 2030 deadline, the sector will be more advanced. Mr. Worm, General Manager of Williams Electrical and Williams Solar, says the Barbados Light and Power is currently seeking approval from the Fair Trading Commission for the Clean Energy Transition Rider, as well as acquiring 380 megawatts of storage to achieve the goal set for 2030. He adds, officials need to quantify the impact of costs over the stipulated period and communicate the findings to all Barbadians so they will be aware of the expectations.
And then government will continue to do its job to find ways of mitigating all of those costs, so that, because it's a big benefit to the country, a significant benefit in my view to the country, to have a stable price for electricity going forward, because we can anticipate and we can do things. We have to find ways of bringing our citizens along in this process, understanding what the impacts are going to be, and help to guide them.
Mr. Worm says Barbados cannot rely on overseas advisors as much as they provide value, but instead have a significant local component in an effort to build the trust of citizens that this initiative is being done in their interests. Lorna Jones, CBC News.
Barbados is among the stops for a team of U.S. hurricane forecasters who are on a preparedness mission to the Caribbean ahead of the official start of the 2024 Atlantic hurricane season. The tour gets underway on Tuesday at the Lynden Pindling International Airport in the Bahamas. The team is expected in Barbados on the 18th of April. Other stops include St. Lucia and Puerto Rico. The mission will see weather officials visiting vulnerable communities to discuss hurricane preparedness, resilience, and how people can become weather ready ahead of the hurricane season. Barbados and the United States have been hailed for championing the values of freedom, equality of opportunity, human rights, and justice for all. U.S. Ambassador to Barbados, Roger Nias, acknowledged the efforts during a meeting with Prime Minister Mia Amor Motley. He shed light on the significant historical linkage to Barbados and the inherent value of that connection for the future. He says Prime Minister Motley is a leading global voice on the challenges brought on by climate change and expressed his commitment to working alongside her towards a brighter, safer, and more prosperous future for all. During the meeting, the U.S. ambassador presented Prime Minister Motley with a diplomatic feather, a custom gift adorned with the colors of the Barbados flag. Ambassador Nias, a member of the Chinook Indian Nation, personally commissioned that piece through Stonington Gallery in Seattle. A no-confidence motion brought against President of the now opposition Democratic Labour Party, Dr. Ronnie Yearwood, and the entire executive has reportedly been ruled as invalid. It was brought by party member Hartley Reid. The Executive Council of the DLP met last night to discuss the motion. Mr. Reid, in the document, accused the DLP General Secretary, Steve Blackett, and Dr. Yearwood of refusing to accept the section of the party's constitution which establishes the post of political leader, a post now held by opposition leader Ralph Thorne, who recently crossed the floor and rejoined the DLP. It also charges the two continually failed to give proper guidance to the executive and general councils. Mr. Reid says the council should have followed the party's constitution, which addresses grievances and disciplinary action.
I would have thought that the Executive Council would have met and set up, if it is not established already, the grievance committee and also the disciplinary committee, so that it could preside over my letter, my resolution. But to hear in the news and and social media that the Executive Council haven't been complained for, then appointed themselves as judge and jury and indeed executioner is a bit strange, because I do not know how that's going to work in the rules of natural justice. But I've said I have not received any correspondence from the General Secretary of the Democrat-led Party about either receiving my resolution or what is the next step relative to that resolution.
Mr. Reid says he remains a member of the Democratic Labour Party as he addressed concerns regarding infighting in the opposition party.
This is not church. And even in churches, you have fighting between priests and the congregation. It's a political system. Everybody trying to be prime minister, the prime minister. Everybody wants to be the numero uno. So where you have issues like that, I do not know why persons believe that in Barbados is any different than Democrat. For that matter, we have our infighting because persons want to believe, and we, the general membership, want to have the best person to lead us going forward in any general election.
We'll take a break here, but coming up, another project to address concerns about non-communicable diseases in Barbados. Workers of Infinity on the Beach may be on the breadline in a matter of weeks. General Manager of the St. Lawrence Gap Christchurch-based resort, Renee Coppin, tells CBC News workers have been informed that the owners of the property currently being leased have asked for it to be handed back over to them. Ms. Coppin says management has mutually agreed to adhere to the instructions at the end of June. She says this decision is also to allow time for what management hopes will be some needed remedial work before it reopens, possibly within a matter of months. However, Ms. Coppin says management of Infinity on the Beach unfortunately do not have full details about the plans by the owners of the property. Infinity on the Beach has posted a notice on social media advising guests that effective July the 9th, 2024, the resort will be handed over to the owners of the property who lease it for their operations to the company known as Debdor Company Limited. The notice says the resort will not be able to honor bookings past the given date. Meanwhile, Ms. Coppin says Infinity on the Beach, which made a strong rebound in 2023 post-COVID, is proud to have been able to operate a highly rated and successful hotel from the current location. The general manager adds management is now focused on ensuring team members, guests and business partners and others affected parties can transition as smoothly as possible over the coming months. The Rotary Club of Barbados is working to bring about a change in the health and well-being of Barbadians through its Create Hope NCD Screening and Literacy project. That project started a year ago and came about after an assessment of communities. President Ermin Darrow Francis says they're moved by the statistics on non-communicable diseases. She says NCDs are a real threat and prevention is key. She was a guest on Morning Barbados.
Now, how do we prevent NCDs? We don't have an answer, but we know we can contribute by raising awareness and starting an early screening program in vulnerable communities. And through that discovery and initiative, we realized that it was not a project that we could do on our own. So we started engaging a number of partners, starting with the Ministry of Health.
The Bayview Group is among the other partners with the project. With the group now readying to open its urgent care facility, marketing manager Elena Pinder says the project fell in line with the objectives.
Bayview Group not only consists of the hospital, but it consists of Bayview Lab as well as diagnostic radiology. And all three of these core companies basically have products that are designed to help and assist with the diagnosis, early detection, and to ensure that once obviously persons are aware of certain things, they can take certain measures to ensure that, you know, they are in their best health possible. So for us, it was a natural fit.
Assistant Director in the Office of External Affairs at Ross University's School of Medicine, Dr. Rashida Daisley, in sharing statistics from the outreach, says high blood pressure and obesity featured prominently. She says it's important that Barbadians understand the impact of NCDs.
Oftentimes we hear a lot about the increased prevalence of obesity. I was here recently talking about obesity, but things like diabetes and hypertension are also increasing, and it places a significant burden on our healthcare system. So it's really important for projects such as this to come to the community, to meet the people where they're at, help them to understand their numbers, understand where they're at in terms of their NCD management, and to give partner them with institutions that can then continue their care. So that was really important for us at Ross University.
A number of teachers at the Lester Vaughan School have requested transfers to other institutions. This was revealed by President of the Barbados Union of Teachers, Rudy Lovell, following a meeting with the teachers. The school has been plagued with environmental issues for a number of years, which forced a shift to online classes last term.
The Barbados Union of Teachers met with teachers at the Lester Vaughan School yesterday to continue discussions on environmental issues at the school. The staff remains committed to the teaching and learning process, and they are hopeful that a long-term solution to the problem can be found. While some staff members are eager to return to the classroom, there are few who are seeking transfers in the interest of their health. The union will continue to communicate with the Ministry of Education regarding concerns raised by the staff.
In an update yesterday, the Ministry of Education reported that in-person classes for 4th and 5th form students who were using the Lester Vaughan and the Easter break to complete SBAs and prepare for external exams got off to a smooth start with no reports of illness. The ministry gave the green light for face-to-face instruction to resume after meeting with parents last week. A report presented during the meeting revealed there were no emissions at the plant and all volatile organic compound levels were below the threshold for safety. Well, Barbadians could be in for a special treat this weekend with the arrival of the Pine Hill Dairy's Adventureland Circus. Category manager with Pine Hill Dairy, Dana Rock Murray, says this is the second year for the show at the Wilde Gymnasium.
This weekend, for the second year in a row, Pine Hill Dairy, we're putting on our Pine Hill Adventureland here at the Wilde Gymnasium on Saturday and Sunday, so that's the 13th and 14th this weekend. We have 2 shows daily. We have one at 2 p.m., one at 7 p.m. We also have a fun-filled theme park on the outside of the gymnasium where you have loads of fun-filled rides. We have various food vendors as well. We have our bars, and don't forget we have those activities and rides for the kids to enjoy.
The package includes a theme park loaded with many attractions as well as a visiting circus act with members hailing from Cuba, Chile and as far as Spain. Rock Murray says the cost for the circus is very affordable.
The tickets are on sale. We have the circus and theme park combo. For the adults, it's $35. For the kids, it's $25. The theme park adults is $25 and the kids are $15. Our box offices, we can mention those box offices. We have a few in Christchurch. We have Fowley's, which is in Parishland, iShop in Sheraton, Oasis. We also have Massey Stores Worthing, Rubis Coverley, Rubis Wilde. In St. Michael, we have CS Pharmacy. In Broad Street, we have Empower, Sky Mall, Saul Warrens, and finally in St. James, you also have Oasis again, and in Massey, Sunset Crest.
Well, Tito the Clown says patrons can expect a fabulous time from the star-studded cast of acrobats, magicians, and dancers.
We are waiting for you. We are in the gymnasium this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, with this amazing show, The Tropical Wonderland.
Sports Night is brought to you by Power Inc. Pause is power. And by Dasani. Live first, Dasani after.
Well, let's get to sports now as we're joined this evening by Anne-Marie Burke. Anne-Marie, good evening to you.
Good evening to you, Pearson. To football now, UWI Blackbirds moved to the top of the BFA's Premier League table with a 4-2 win over Wharton last night at Allerton. While in the second encounter, Brittensill gained 3 points by defeating Empire 3-1. Here's a look at the games.
UWI in yellow and Wharton got Thursday night BFA action going, and the boys from Cavefield struck first in the 34th minute off the boot of Rivaldo Messiah. 6 minutes later, this throw-in will make it a level playing field. Darian King steps up and is off the crossbar, bounces in to make it 1-1, and it will be that way up until the half-time.
The second half started a little turbulent with an infringement on the field spilling onto the sidelines, and great effort was taken to get things settled. And when they got back to business as usual, UW will pull things back in their favor. Watch the ball advance brilliantly through the defense before it's passed off to Shamari Harewood. What a shot! Sorted into the left pocket. It's 2-1. Messiah would then make it a brace for himself, and coming in to collect the cross, he gave UW more light between themselves and Wharton to make it 3-1. The game then went into extra time, and UW would add one more for a good measure. Tyrell Waldron making a mess of the keeper, making the scoreline 4-1. And on the brink of time, Darian King would have the final say for Wharton, albeit in vain. UW's custodian plays around with the ball, and King just gets ahead to it to ease it in. So by the end of it all, UW were winners at 4-2. Meanwhile, after a goalless first half, it was in the 52nd minute that the action really started between Bredenshill and Empire, with Bredenshill first on the score sheets, thanks to that header from Rommel Bino. That lead would double in the 66th when the tackle resulted in a free kick. Stepping up for the boys in red was Corey Hoyt, and he is on target to make it 2-0. A few seconds later, Empire will find a response as Jacoby Brathwaite had a powerful right boot to it and leaves the keeper floored. And this is where it was signed and sealed. In comes Sharon Hoyt to finish things off. Bredenshill claimed the win, 3-1.
The Business Report is brought to you with the kind compliments of the National Insurance and Social Security Service. More than a contribution, it's your lifeline.
In tonight's business report, Minister of Labour, Social Security and the Third Sector, Colin Jordan, says it is important that policy is driven by real information as opposed to anecdotal claims. It's for this reason he's stressing the need for stakeholders to take Barbados Statistical Services surveys seriously. He was speaking at the end of the National Symposium on the Just Transition and Job Creation in the Green and Blue Economy.
Government has, and I think you would have heard this in the last budgetary presentation, the intention is that all organizations that are in receipt of concessions from the state will be required as part of the partnership to participate in all the statistical surveys that involve them. So we are starting to make a move in that direction because we realize if policy making is not information driven, then we could end up wasting a lot of taxpayers' money.
With today's heavy reliance on technology, businesses are being asked to be wary of third-party business relationships and risks. Deputy Director, Bank Supervision Department at the Central Bank of Barbados, Tamara Hurley, made the call during the Central Bank of Barbados-sponsored forum, Not If, But When, Managing Cyber Risk in Barbados Financial Sector. The top bank official also called for due diligence in all relationships.
Assessing cyber resilience is key. Assessing cyber resilience, assessing the cyber security systems and processes that the entity has in place is critical in you making a determination whether to engage that party. And of course, we would want to see the entity having ongoing assurance that the entity remains compliant with their cybersecurity practices. So third party really is one of those areas, and it becomes even more complicated when those third parties themselves outsource some elements of their operations to other parties. So it really is an area that entities have to look closely at.
The central bank official also called for a cyber risk framework for businesses as a continuous process of ongoing improvements.
Cyber criminals, they have made a career in sitting down every day and figuring out new ways to hack, new ways to attack. So at the same time, the cybersecurity professionals and organizations need to be on the pulse of looking closely at the emerging threats, the emerging risks, the emergence of the types of attacks and tools that the hackers and criminals are using, and to tweak their systems.
Let's get back to sports first with Anne-Marie Burke.
Yes, Pearson, I'm back, and I start with this news. The Barbadian junior swimming sensation Heidi Stout continued her impressive form in the pool last night at the Rodney Heights International in St. Lucia. The 15-year-old smashed the meet record for the 1500-meter freestyle and established a new Barbados national record of 17 minutes 32.52 seconds. Last week, Stout etched her name in the history books by establishing 4 new crafty records to help Barbados capture 37 medals. Back to some cricket news. Kings Sixers retained their OE Brathwaite T20 tournament title by defeating Thomas Torres Travellers by 6 wickets in the final played at Rice's. Here's how the game went. Down 1 wicket, Talbot Brathwaite was at the crease with skipper Kevin Stout, and he added a 4 to the score off this delivery as Thomas Torres Travellers moved to 88 for 1. It would soon be for 2 as when Skins skipper Ashley Nurse introduced spin, he claimed the wicket of Stout, given LBW for 40. Kevin Wickham was also at the crease and went the assault route over the ropes, this time a big one. But on the other end, Brathwaite would give his hand away, looking to deliver big again, but it just won't be. Giovante De Pisa is there to hold on to it. Brathwaite also contributing 40 to the score as Travellers are now 130 for 3. The throw Greenwich was next in at the crease, and what a way to start with a 4. Wickham constantly reminded us that he was still there, driven like a boss. But Greenwich will be headed back to the pavilion next ball, bowled by Corey Miller. Travellers scoring out 143 for 4. Wickham kept at it, and it's going, gone. That's 6. Wickham's runs fest would come to an end, though, as what looked like another big one going out of the ground saw the Pisa positioning himself and settles under it. The catch is taken. Wickham goes for 29. Travellers 151 for 5. Wicket number 6 would be that of Shakay Marshall as watch a mix-up in the middle. Marshall ran 1 and came down for the second, but Kemar Brathwaite refused to move, and even though the overthrow, he stands still. So Marshall goes run out for 8. Travellers 164 for 6. And without another run added, Kemar Brathwaite will also find himself run out. He's 164 for 7. Jaden Roberts will come in and add 6 to the score as Travellers end on 170 for 7 from their 20 overs, setting Sixers 171 to win. So Hakeem Perryman and Kyle Jordan set to task, and Jordan gets a first boundary for the Sixers. Perryman then showed he was in business mode as well, hitting this short delivery out the ground. But Branco will hit back at Perryman as he sends it down, and it's edged right into the gloves of keeper Latrell Greenwich. Sixers in early trouble at 22 for 1. Only 3 runs will be added before wicket number 2 will fall. Branco into Jordan, and Johan Lane runs across and gets his hand to it. Sixers down now by 2 with only 25 runs on the board. Mardon Ben was at the crease now, and knowing that getting runs on the board was crucial, he lifted this one over the pavilion end, a much-needed maximum. Settling in at the crease now, he was able to turn this one down the leg side, and it quickly rolls to the ropes. Ben then added 4, sweetly struck through the offside. He wasn't done there. He couldn't want it any better. That shot was a class act. I'm sure a new ball was needed. Ben then almost got his walking ticket. The keeper goes for it, but it's dropped. Clark was still there on the other end and adding to the tally. This one runs away to put 4 to the cause. But as Jaden Roberts began his bowling spell, the very first ball, Ben would be his victim. No mistaking it this time. A very good catch taken. Ben goes for 19. Sixers 69 for 3. Giovante De Pisa came to the crease and sends this one nicely over cover for a beautiful shot out the boundary. De Pisa goes for it again, and this time it's out the ground. I'll admit that house gets a beating when there's cricket at Rice's. Sixers will lose 1 more wicket. Clark is bowled by Kevin Wickham for 31. Sixers 128 for 4. Remember, chasing 171 to win. De Pisa intent on getting his team over the line, pressed on. Here we go again. That's 6. No, that was class. With him now was skipper Nurse, and he was also on that same mission of leading the team to victory, a power shot of a 4. And that he did. The last ball dispatched with power to the ropes. Ashley Nurse ended on beating on 32, Giovante De Pisa on 50. Skin Sixers 172 for 4 to take the win by 6 wickets.
Well, that's our time tonight. Thank you for spending it with us. I'm Pearson Bowen for the crew. To all of you, good night. Have yourselves a wonderful weekend.